Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Satisfactory version update 5, and we are going to dive in today's episode. We're going to look after getting some more of the tier 2 upgrades, as well as optimizing our miners, our smelters, our constructors to take better advantage of the conveyor systems and the splitters and whatnot. So sit back, relax, and let's jump into it. Okay, so where we left off last time is we did finish Tier 1 and we got our fuel system automated so that we were making solid biofuel. That's been grinding away now. And we've got kind of all of our production lines at least functioning. They're not overly efficient. We're going to work at today is getting these conveyor feeds split out, trying to make better use of them, get a couple of smelters going, upgrade our power needs and whatnot. And we're going to be chipping away at our tier 2 upgrades, because the sooner we get more tiers done, the sooner we get better things to be able to make, and the sooner we can advance in this game. Alright, what do we need for our tier 2 upgrades? We got parts assembly that we need to do. That's going to be copper cabling, that's going to be iron rods, it's going to be screws and plate. Then we've got jump pads, which will be a way to help us kind of get around a little bit to jumping up to like different levels of our build instead of using ramps and stuff. In all honesty, I think we'll probably keep using ramps. This requires rotors, plate, and the cabling. And then we got resource sink bonuses. So this gives us the ability to be able to, if we've got excess of particular resources, we can dump them into the Awesome Sink. And Awesome Sink ends up rewarding us with these tickets that we can then turn into the Awesome Shop to get cool other recipes for building things and stuff, as well as we get an upgrade to our build gun and a cartridge for being able to change colors of different things and stuff. So, and then we got logistics part 2. This is the really important one. This is going to get our Mark II conveyors. It gets us up to transporting goods up to 120 resources per minute, as well as we get the stackable conveyor arms so that we can have conveyors laying on top of each other. And then, of course, we get the Mark II elevators as well, which transport resources at 120 resources per minute. So that's what we get to work on. Let's jump into it. And first things first, what we're going to be looking after is trying to get some of our manufacturing here fixed up so that we are running more efficiently. So I'm going to get work on this iron line right here. This iron line is our iron rod production. That iron line up there is our iron screw production. We're going to double both those, as well as we've got our plate construction over here that we've got to double up. So that's what I'm going to work on right now. Okay, so I quickly went through a little bit of optimization to try to make better use of this, because we're coming 60 items out of here. We're running it through this splitter, and then it's 30 items going into this smelter, 30 items going into this smelter. And then from here, we are splitting the iron ingots. We've got 15 iron ingots going into this constructor that is cranking out iron rods. And then 15 iron ingots go up to that constructor, which is putting out iron rods. These iron rods in this one, they're getting converted into screws that are getting unloaded here. Same on this side here, is we're converting the iron rods that are coming through on this side of the manufacturing, and they're getting turned into screws as well over there. And then, of course, this is all getting split up that way and fed up to the upper conveyor that's getting us some more iron rods. So iron rod storage at the top, screw storage down here. So I am basically at this end here, I'm running a merger on this unit. This is a merger line that's taking this, and then half of these to take 60 screws per minute is what's coming out of that going into this storage. And over here, we're going to have an extra 20 screws per minute that'll go out to something else. But basically it's because these manufacture out at 40 screws per minute. And so since they're manufacturing that speed, if I was to feed both of them into here, well, that would be 80 screws going in here, and these conveyors can't do 80 screws. So we have an extra 20 here that we can then feed into whether it's reinforced plate or something like along that line. So that's why there's the extra here on this one. But all in all, All of our iron now on this particular iron node is functioning the way it should. We now got to do the same thing over there. Is I've got to split that iron and make it produce a little bit better. Okay, so I have now split the production off of this miner here with iron that's getting split into two different feeds. We've got iron ore going into these two smelters at 60 items per minute. They're going into the constructors. After they've been smelted, they go down to 30 items per minute. So 30 items per minute are getting fed into the constructor, which is then producing 20 items per minute of iron plate, of which both sides of these are pushing out iron plate that are then combining in this merger that is feeding in here at 40 iron plate per minute. So that's what we've got cooking along here right now. Not entirely sure why this one seems to be lagging a little bit here. So I might just have to see what's kind of cooking with that, because it should be getting all of the available resources it needs. Like, it's got all the iron ore, but it just seems to be kind of holding up here a little bit. It's not coming out as a smooth production line. Mind you, it is only coming out at 10 items per minute. And you know what? This is doing the same thing. I think it was just a matter of everything getting caught up. Sorry, 20 items per minute coming out of those. So that's just, things we got to look at. We could have one more line here that's making iron plate to merge into this to try to get up to 60 items that are feeding in here. So that's things that we can look at here in the future. So now we got to figure out, okay, what do we got to do with this? Is we need to start making some of the reinforced iron plate. So we're going to probably take a line off of this, split it again, so half of it is going in here and half of it is going into our construction for the plate. And then we'll take some of the screws that are coming in off of that line over there. So that's what I'm going to do next, is get the reinforced iron plate working. So before I can get into making the reinforced iron plate, we need the assemblers. And to get the assemblers, that's the one of the components in Tier 2 that we have to be able to get. And to get there, we need to focus on our copper a little bit. So first off is we need to get another smelter set up here, because I believe this is a pure copper node. So if I look at this, this is capable of doing 120 items per minute. So we can split this line out of here. It's actually 60 right now. We can split that and feed that into another smelter so that we can have one of these feeding into a constructor for iron wire, and then another one feeding into dual constructors for getting iron wire and then iron cable. So I'm going to get that built here right now, and then we'll work on getting the items that we need to get the parts assembly done. Okay, so we fired up the copper line. Copper line is manufacturing. We've got copper wires coming down. We have copper cabling coming down. I've got them right now feeding into these two storage containers. There are splitters here on the event that I do need to pull feeds from these over to something else. But for now, we're storing up materials in here. I've already gathered up the materials I need. Now we can go turn in and be able to get our parts assemblers. So that's what we're rushing over to the hub to do now, is grabbing the next phase to our Tier 2 assembly. So click on here, parts assembly. I need to add some more cable to that, and we need to add some more of the screws. Oh, I don't quite have enough screws. I need just a few more screws. Okay, let's run over here. And we should be good for screws now. We have enough. We have enough. Add those, and away it goes. Launch. Okay, parts assembly is done.
Milestone reached. More complex assembly of parts can now be automated. Project assembly parts can now be constructed and sent up via the space elevator. Note: project parts are too complex to produce by hand.
Okay, so we're adding in our parts assembly to our hotbar here. The parts assembler is going to be kind of needed, because that combines some more, basically a manufactured component and a manufactured component get combined into one to be able to make a more complex component. So, for instance, we're going to be making, iron and rotors and all that type of fun stuff. So that's one of the things we've got done there. And what else did we get? Did we get anything else that was good for us here? Let's just look at our organization. I think that's pretty much our biggest focus there, was being able to get that. So now we've got to manufacture these things. So the parts assembler, we need to make some rotors. So what do we need to be able to make rotors? Let's have a look at that. Rotors require, if we see it on the list here, is iron bars and screws, which we have plenty of right now. So we'll be able to go. I'm going to have to manually make those to make our first assembler. So our first assembler is probably going to have to be rotor assembly. So let's, I guess we're going to be handcrafting these bad boys to get started. And I need a total of 4 of them, so I need just a few more screws for that. So we'll just run over here, we'll grab another handful of screws. And slap together 2 more of these rotors. 1 and 2. Okay. Now, where are we going to put our parts assembly? I haven't really laid that out. I guess this area right here is probably as good as any. And one thing I hadn't had a chance to show you guys yet is with Update 5 is you end up with this thing called zooping. So basically you click here, you go zoop, click there, and it assembles all of those components for us. So we'll do the same thing here. Click and click. You can go up to 10 items with zooping. So here we'll go right across. And we'll just continue this all the way along here. And now we've got a nice platform here built. Of course, it does consume the items that we've had in our inventory to be able to make that. But now we've got a parts assembly area here that we can be playing with to start building. So I'm going to get a assembler put down here. We're going to get rotors building first, and then we're going to get our reinforced plate. Okay, so I actually decided to move my first assembler up to the second floor up here because this is requiring iron bars and iron screws. So I'm pulling my extra feet of screws off from that lower one, feeding it up into here, and my iron bars off of this smelter is coming into here. Now, things to keep in mind. There's actually quite a bit of deficiencies that are happening here. First off, our feed of iron coming into this, iron rods, it needs 20. Okay, well, what are we getting off of over here? So right now we're getting 15. So we need like 1.5 feeds of iron bars coming into this, which we don't have yet. But that's going to come when we get to some Mark II conveyors and stuff as we start getting more production of iron rods happening. And then the other side of this is, if we look at our assembly, we need 100 screws per minute. Well, we're not anywhere near that right now. Our screw output right now is currently coming into this unit. It is putting out, we're actually only taking 20 screws per minute up into that feed because we're actually splitting some of it off this way. So I think what we could do is I could actually break this off like that. That's now going to redirect all of those screws up top. In fact, we can even pull this splitter right out of here, pull this conveyor right out of here, and actually go straight conveyor into this elevator. That's going to be feeding just more of the screws up to that. We're going to be getting a feed of 40 to that. So we're going to be, you know, we're almost there to what we need for being able to get the rotors running efficiently. We're still a little bit lacking on the rods and lacking on the screws, but we're definitely better than what we were. Now, I could, if I wanted, just take a feed from here as well up to that and merge them together, but of course we're limited to our 60 items per minute on our current conveyor systems. So there's really no point doing that until we kind of break out from our tier 1 conveyors. So this should be now manufacturing and putting rotors in here. So we've got 3 of them right now. And this device, let's go actually run over there and have a quick look. We're starting to get really spread out. It's starting to turn into a little bit of a spaghetti factory here as we're starting to get our assemblies happening and whatnot. But if we run over this way and we look at this assembler, it's putting out it will put out up to 4 per minute if we get this maxed out to what we can do. And which is a total of 20 per minute iron we need to be able to feed it, and a total of 100 screws. Well, I think our biggest lacking point right now is the screws end of things. If we can get more screws, this would definitely pick up in production. So that's kind of where we're at. But there's other things that we need to be looking at now. So what's our next phase here is for our tier unlock. So jump pads, they require rotors and cabling. Well, we have both of those now getting manufactured. But this needs 50. So that's going to take a while. Next, resource sink, copper wire. Actually, you know what? We probably have enough copper wire sitting in our storage over here right now. So we might even be able to pull this off right now. So let's run over here. Let's grab what copper wire I've got, run back, and I'm pretty sure that's all we need to be able to turn this in. So this is going to be a nether tier completion. Resource sink, select, and we're dumping concrete into this. We're dumping copper wire, just copper wire into there. We're dumping some rods, and we are dumping some plates. Launch away. That is now completed. So that is part 2.
You have been given early access to the anti-waste effort for stress testing of materials on exoplanets bonus program.
So that is basically getting our awesome sink. So when we start getting excess products and whatnot, we can set up an awesome sink out here, and excess resources and stuff and manufactured items can get dumped into it to get tickets to be able to get us more recipes later. But we're not there yet.
To develop additional options, which will be added to the awesome store in the future. Go that extra kilometer. Go awesome.
So we gotta have to wait a bit for this to our little shuttle to come back here so that we can see what else we've got to manufacture, because it's like I need to be able to select milestones. Oh no, actually you could hit. Here's something I didn't know this. So there's little tabs at the top. There's the active milestone that we just completed. We don't have to wait for it to come back. Just go back to this one and you can go back and look here. So iron, hardened iron, we need to be able to, or the reinforced iron we need to look at now. So that is combining screws and plate. Screws and plate is what we need to be putting together. So we need to take a plate feed, and I guess we are going to have to pull from this line that's over here now, which is no longer a merger in here. We can actually get rid of this because we're not merging conveyors together anymore. We're going to have to split this line off, get another manufacturer going out here to be able to get the reinforced iron. So I'm going to get that done, and we'll be right back. So while I was manufacturing the next little assembler over here for making the reinforced iron, we ran into another power issue. And I'm just looking to see where we may have run out of power. And it looks like actual generation we just don't have enough power being made. So we need to quickly crank out another biomass generator. Spin this around so that it matches what we've been building here. I think it's this way is what we had. Kind of looks close. And then slap this right down like so. Feed in another wire into it. And then we got to grab some more fuel, which is just over here on this little assembly line. We've actually got lots of fuel, so I'm going to run through and just make sure everything is topped up. Make sure it's all full, then we don't have to worry about it, shutting down on us again here real quick. So we just run around to each biomass generator, top them up here, and we got these 3. Top that up. Each one can hold 200 of the solid biomass. And we head over to the last one here. This is a brand new one. And then flip the lever, turn it all back on again. And we're back into cooking with gas again. We got stuff that's being built. And then I'm going to throw down a storage unit over here. We'll grab, logistics. No, not logistics. It's an organization. We're going to grab this. Give it a good flip here a couple of times. And as long as this lines up here, I think we're good to go. So I will run a conveyor from here to here. This should now be producing our reinforced plate. Reinforced plate is now coming off the line. Now, we are so under efficient on this stuff because this requires 30 iron plate and 60 screws. Well, I am so far on the screws that it's like ridiculously crazy. I think we're doing good. We've got enough iron plate coming in, but we're really bad on the screws. I want to say we are only doing right now, if I look at this screw production, we're currently doing 40 screws getting split. We're doing 20 screws in this per minute. And this requires, how much was that again? This is requiring 60, so I need to increase by threefold to be able to get this manufacturing the reinforced plate faster than what it's doing right now. So we're doing about a third of what it's capable of doing. This is capable at full production of 5 reinforced iron plates per minute. Well, we're at a third of that. So we're not even 2 reinforced iron plates per minute, which is kind of sucky. So we're kind of sucky on our 2 assemblies here, but that's because of our limitations based off of our conveyor belts of what they're capable of doing right now. So we're going to have to ramp up. We've got to double up our copper. We've got to double up our iron on both the productions to be able to increase our output there. And the only way to do that is unlocking our next tier. So what do we need? That's going to be under logistics. I need 50 of the reinforced iron plate. That's going to take some time. And what do we need over here? Copper cabling and rotors. So now it's just a matter of waiting for these 2 lines to produce what we need from it. Once they're produced, we can turn in those 2 things. Bingo, bango, bongo. We will have tier 2 completed. So we'll be right back as soon as that's done. Okay, so I'm just going to run around and gather up the rest of these rotors we've got and the reinforced iron plate, and then we are going to go get some turn-ins done here to wrap up tier 2 upgrades. So what do we got? We got the jump pad. Select. Let's load in our milestones. Rotors. This one is just plate, and then cabling, some more plate, and launch. That's gone. So then we have to wait until the next one comes along. So we can go back to select milestones. Let's go to logistics. Now it says that, yeah, because we are launching, it's going to be like 3 minutes and 40 seconds until that comes back. So I got to wait to be able to turn these in. But once that's turned in, then we've got all of our tier 2 done. So I'm just going to wait for that few minutes, and then we'll get this unlocked. All right, our little machine has returned. So we can get the next set of this sent off. Let us just patiently waiting 2 seconds. It's landed and docked. Okay, good. Finally, we can load in our reinforced, our concrete, our bars, and our plates. And away it goes. Guess what? We now have tier 2 unlocked.
Milestone reached. Improved versions of conveyor belts and conveyor lifts are now accessible. To encourage additional verticality, conveyor poles now have a stackable variant.
All right, so what do we have that's new? Let's have a look here at our various productions. So, of course, we've already touched on the assembler. We've already got those built. We look in logistics. We now have conveyor belt Mark II. That's our 120 items per minute. We have the elevators for the same thing, as well as we have the stackable conveyor poles. These things are actually really cool. Basically, you can just put them up over top and be able to run conveyors over top of each other. So we can have like a whole bank of conveyors all coming down here. So the next few phases are going to be some significant changes in the overall base layout here. Because now with the Mark II conveyors, we can take these miners that we've got over here and we can actually have 4 smelters running off of each one of these. That's a huge bonus for us. And then same for that copper one that's way over there. We got 4 smelters running off of it. So we're drastically going to be able to increase our production rates here, which we need because right now everything is crazy, crazy slow. So let's just run up here, up on this tower. I slapped down this tower real quick so we could have a little bit of an overview of how everything looks from up here under sky. So we've got our hab, we've got our power generation right here, we've got our fuel assembly section over there. Here is our iron rod and screw productions right here. Right there is our iron plate productions. Over there is our copper manufacturing. Way off in the distance over there, that is our concrete manufacturing. So things are all feeding back in. And then we have an assembler here that's putting together our rotors. And we have an assembler right here that's putting together our reinforced plate. I think we've done a fair bit today. I know it doesn't look like much, but I mean, all this had led to us being able to unblock Tier 2. Tier 2 is done. Now we can step it up to the next layer of efficiencies. The problem is the next phase of what we got to do is for Tier 3 and Tier 4, we go back to our milestones here. These aren't unlocked to us yet. Why is that? Because we need to manufacture our space elevator. And to manufacture the space elevator, we need concrete, we need copper wire, and we need iron plates and rods. So it's actually fairly easy to make. All of the stuff we do have here readily available. So I'm going to take the copper wire. I'm going to take whatever we've got here. No, it's not cabling we need. It's iron plating we need. To take a bunch of this iron plates. We're going to run over and grab some iron rods from... Oh, I believe that's upstairs. We're going to go upstairs to grab the iron rods. I should have a container that's dedicated to just being able to store iron rods for us up here. So if we leap over this here, I will take some iron rods. And then finally, we'll grab a couple of stacks of concrete, which is just down here. And we now have our concrete. So now we can actually build the space elevator. But the thing is I need a spot to be able to build it. So I'm going to create, and it's quite large, the space elevator. Now granted, we're not going to be probably using this too much here in the next few episodes, or next at least one more episode. But I'm going to build it out this way, so I just got to extend this platform out, and then we'll get this thing built. Okay, as you see here, we've expanded this platform. We got lots of room here now. Let's head over to our special construction. We're going to select the elevator, and what am I still missing? I need some more copper wire. So let's quickly run over here, grab some more copper wire. Oh, we might have to wait for a little bit for it to manufacture some more, and then we'll be able to step that up. So let's just wait a few minutes, and I'll get the rest of my copper wire. So I just realized why my copper wire production was so freaking dreadful, and it's because copper wire manufacturing only runs at 15 items per minute. So half of our copper ingots weren't even getting used. So I've gone from the smelter here, which is coming out at 30. I've split this here to feed into two constructors. Yes, I know this is stuck into this rock that's here, but I just wanted to get it going so that it was up and running, so that we had a much more stable, steady stream. And now you can see we are getting a good solid, I want to say that, let's see, this is outputting at 30. We are getting 60 wire per minute now out of this construction, so that we can get all, because it's like 1,500 copper wire we need for the space elevator. So, yeah, we kind of needed to step up this production because it was sad. So now this is all going to feed back into this storage unit over here, and we'll have the proper feed that we need to be able to get rolling on this. So that was one thing. We had like a huge efficiency issue down there, and that's why everything's coming to a kind of a grinding halt for us, is we're going to have to like really ramp up our productions to be able to accommodate our achievements for the next coming tiers. So I'm just going to wait a little bit longer for the rest of this copper to come through, and then we will be able to get the space elevator built. Okay, I just finished gathering up the rest of the copper. Now we can get this, hopefully, built. So there is the space elevator. I'm not even really concerned about its footprint of where it's going to go, so we're just going to click. And then, you know what? Take the time to enjoy this animation. as it builds. So here it starts its construction. This is really quite a process. It's well done, this whole thing. So let's just watch this as it plays out. The base of the space elevator is now complete, and now there's a line that drops down from space. It's taking its time. It's taking its time. And this now will hook together and connect. And just like that, we now have a space elevator that transports items up into space for FICSIT Inc. So the benefit of the space elevator is we can start to just, it's like assembly platforms where there's like up to 3 items, I think, that we can load into this to be able to send up. And this will unlock our other tiers. Now, we still need to make these smart plating. We need 50 smart platings before this will actually be fully ready to go. So that's the next thing that we're going to be working on. But we're going to save that for tomorrow's episode to unlock, or not tomorrow's, but the next episode. Because we're going to have to like chip away at getting a few more things manufactured to be able to get this smart plating done, because that's going to need to be done in an assembly as well. But we need to seriously ramp up our output before that's going to be able to happen. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Make sure you guys reach out, hit the like button on the video, subscribe if you're new to the channel, ring the notification bell, follow me on Instagram and Twitter at TerrisDWDC. And with that said, leave some comments down below and let me know what you thought of our next phase of production here. So there's going to be some significant changes to our starter base in the next episode as we start to make this even more efficient. So until next time, we'll talk to you later. Bye.